Riverside.
Hey there, welcome back to the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made us sad. And I hate to tell everyone that tunes in just to see our sad faces, but we are incredibly happy because the Kraken are 1-up on the defending champion Avalanche. Man, I guess I'm sad that I can't be there because you and I went to so many games the inaugural season. So I'm really sad that I'm in Europe this year and I'm not going to be able to go to as many games as we were able to go to that opening season. And I'm definitely not going to be able to go to any playoff games.
Yeah, so I think there's a good chance I'll be going to the game on Saturday night. So round 3 or game 3.
It's time to paint that chest, baby boy. Time to paint that chest.
You know it.
Make the eye a nipple. Make the eye. So Chelsea, you were sad that he won't send you any gear.
Yeah, so not only can I not go to the games, but I don't have any gear to represent. And actually, because I've moved so much, and now that I'm in Texas, of all places, I don't have any of my Seahawks gear. I don't have any of my Mariners gear. It's all been, lost to the ages. And
the moves.
I definitely don't have any Kraken gear, so I'm pretty sad. And my brother was just here a couple weeks ago. Didn't bring me any Kraken stuff.
You got to do it.
A little disappointed.
We've got to get Chelsea some stuff, and we've got to get behind this team. Even though they haven't gotten behind our podcast, it's only a matter of time before they see everything that's going on over here. Maybe I'll tweet at Bowie. Bowie seems to be very receptive to tweets.
He's very responsive.
Yeah, we should get him on here. We should get him on for an interview.
It'll be riveting because mascots are really known for their talking.
Yeah, he's completely silent. He's mute.
So, Bowie, how was your first playoff experience?
Just tweet us at TheSadFan. That'll get us exposure, you know. Throw a T-shirt at us. I'm stoked. The team looked great in that first playoff game. They really stifled any attack that the Avalanche could have had, right? 3-1 is huge against what was one of the best attacking teams in the entire league last year.
I mean, I don't know if you saw, but there were so many chances where that game really could have flipped because the Avalanche hit the crossbar 3 times during that game. It puckered your butthole.
Well, you know what? It's puckering.
We won.
It's puckering these lips. It's puckering these lips to say, team of destiny.
Yeah.
Team of destiny.
Doesn't matter how. They won game 1. That's all that matters.
In Colorado.
In Colorado.
Yep. That's what we call stealing home field.
In Denver.
Yeah.
So, and you can see that we are true fans. We've got our 32s hanging in the background. We were at the game March 2nd. We got the gear from the game March 2nd. Wes is rocking the jacket tonight, but he splurged on an authentic jersey on March 2nd.
I've worn it before.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, when you wore it when we were on that 14-game winning streak.
Yeah.
When they were just killing everyone. Right? Murderers Row. And speaking of Murderers Row, hey, Boston, how about that 6 you gave up? How about that? Boston, the team of destiny, unbeatable at home. This is their, the Floridians came up and beat you.
Yeah.
From the Sun.
They lost to a Florida team.
Well, we can't say that anymore because the Tampa Bay Lightning are probably the best team of this last decade. So we can't say they lost to a Florida team anymore.
Yeah, the Knights lost too. They lost game 1.
Mm-hmm.
So game 1 for the entire West Coast or the entire Western Conference, all the lower seeds won.
Connor McDavid, my bad. The Kings beat Edmonton last game. And I was shocked because Connor McDavid's easily the best player in hockey. Easily the best player in hockey.
Edmonton had a 10-game win streak going into the playoffs. A lot of people didn't want to play Edmonds. Me neither. I didn't want to see the Kraken play. And a lot of people were thinking that's why Kraken, purposely lost. Because if they won, the last 2 games, they would have had to play Edmonton.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to face Connor.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chelsea.
Oh, I'm just absorbing this information
But
for the first time because I don't follow the NHL
Yeah.
this closely, but I am like just a homer. I love
Edmonton
my
did
Seattle
win.
teams.
Edmonton did win last night, so it's
Yeah, they even the series up. And you know who else won last night? I believe the Grizzlies won last night, right? Against the Lakers.
They did. It's 1-1 now.
And Dylan Brooks will not shut up. Like, he will not. And it's not like he's saying cool things. Like, he's just saying the most dumb, lame Patrick Beverly things. And it was Chelsea covering up the Oregon symbol.
I am so frustrated that he's from like an Oregon alum and is like representing our school in the major leagues, which is usually something that's like, oh, like we're excited, we're proud about. But like this guy is just like makes me want to put a paper bag over my head and do that whole shit.
Right?
Like it's hard. He's so like it's just shut up. Just I don't want to say like shut up and dribble to like. Yeah, I don't want to say shut up and dribble to like your everyday athlete who's just occasionally has like a remark that goes viral, but like this guy just will not stop talking, and he's his own worst enemy when it comes to like public image and PR. Like, just stop talking.
He's not even. He's not good enough. Here's also the thing. He's not good enough for the talk he's choosing to use. Yeah. He's calling out Draymond Green. Not good enough to call out Draymond Green. And if you're not good enough to call out Draymond Green, you're damn sure not good enough to call out LeBron James.
No.
Yeah, and like,
it's antagonizing for no reason.
And like, it's one thing to like say it in game or whatever, like a little trash talking, but then even afterwards being like, oh, I don't care, he's old, whatever. Come at me. Like, that's shut up, dude.
Do you remember what was his name in Indiana? Roy Hibbert, Danny Granger, Lance Stevens. Do you remember Lance Stevens? This is who Dylan Brooks is starting to remind me of. You said no, you don't remember. This was like a huge story when Lance Stevens was on the Pacers. He got a huge contract for being the LeBron stopper, okay? And he was the one that was blowing in LeBron's ear in the playoff game. Do you remember?
Yeah.
All right.
I forgot the name. I remember the actions, which is something you just don't want. You don't want people to remember you like that. Like that there was just a weirdo.
And that is what it took to get you to remember him. You didn't remember that the Pacers were a great team in that era.
No,
you didn't remember.
I did remember because like growing up and like through.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show my age here. I was a huge Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller. I knew it was going to come out of
Reggie Miller.
Reggie.
UC. LA. UC.
No.
LA.
I'm not that old. But when I had season tickets for the Blazers, I even went to Reggie Miller's last game in Portland wearing a Reggie Miller jersey. Yeah, so I was there just like cheering with him, like cheering for him the whole time. So like
Reggie Miller is like one of those guys that's just likable. It doesn't matter what team you're a fan of.
Famous for the.
Yeah, Spike would disagree, but Cheryl.
I mean, Reggie, he was an instigator, and
he was.
Dylan Brooks is trying to be that, but he's just not that good. Like, he's in the moment. He's on a very good young team, an exciting team. He could be an exciting member. If I don't mind, I usually like talkers, but for some reason, he's just so stupid with what he says that I'm just like, you're not even a good trash talker. Like, your trash talking to LeBron was, I don't worry about old guys. Like, that's dumb. That's the dumbest thing ever. Like, Lance Stevenson came stronger with the blowing in the ear than you did with the he's old. You know, like, what are you doing? Like, what kind of oh, you know what? If Draymond Green's only good because he's on that championship team. What? That was your trash talk? That's a dumb. He was only good because he was on that team that won. Now he did. I'm stating the championship team. I'm putting that part in, but context clues, bro. That's not a good insult. He's only good because he's a champion. Yeah, I mean, that'll do it. So I can't stand it. I think I teased you guys last week and I said he just won't stop quacking. Quack, 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 quack.
Living my little shame bubble over here. But.
Now, one of the players that he keeps going at, I know I mentioned it a moment ago, is also an agitator. And here's another crazy situation that's going on in these NBA playoffs in Draymond Green. Chelsea, did you get the chance to look at the images or watch the video of what actually happened in that game?
Yeah, so I watched the video, and I'm still not really sure that deserved punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looked like there was...
Are you kidding me? He lifted his foot up and stomped on his sternum. The dude has a sternum injury now.
You know...
Let's play a game called Ignore Wes, Chelsea, because he's clearly wrong. Because I'm with you. That punishment did not fit the crime at all.
Yeah.
Wes is so...
No, hold on. Can we, mute my brother for a second? Because think about it. Like, you're a guy who has tripped, and you're now standing with all your weight on one leg. How do you regain balance? You aren't necessarily going to be situationally aware enough to, move your other foot, out of the way. So it could very easily look like stomping. But the thing is the guy who also went to the ground pulled his leg down.
Yeah,
well.
Domantas Sabonis was doing his best impression of Jeff Van Gundy. So he was completely off balance on one leg, and when you're just out there like a flamingo on one leg and you're 7 feet tall, it is very hard to keep your balance and your center of gravity while you're in the motion of a play. And he done it multiple times, apparently. Apparently that wasn't the first time Domantas Sabonis had done that. Apparently he'd been doing it a few times throughout the game to stop Draymond on a fast break. He was grabbing his legs and grabbing his jersey.
Okay, so,
I didn't hear that part, but
so
yeah.
If you lose your balance, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, but when you lose your balance, you don't put your foot right next to your other foot. You reach out as far as you can to put your feet as far apart to keep a wide center of gravity. To keep
not if you're in the middle of tripping.
He literally lifted his foot up and put it right next to his other foot, which was right on the dude's sternum. If you trip, your foot's gonna go way out in front of you, not right back down where it was.
I'm gonna go watch this again.
Wes is trying to make it sound like he curb stomped Domantas Sabonis.
Okay.
That's what Wes is trying to make it sound like.
Afterwards, when he was getting injected, you want to know what he did? He went to all the fans. He did the WWE stuff. He was like, "What? Come at me, bro! Come at me!" He was acting like a clown that entire time, and he deserves the suspension.
I love that I get to edit this.
He's been a piece of shit all year. Don't edit it. He's been a piece of shit all year, starting with the Jordan Poole, and he's not worth it. He's not worth it.
I got to get us more than the views we got last week.
Steph Curry does not think he's worth it. Steph Curry was tired of his crap. And so
bro, okay, stop. Because I literally just rewatched this, and you're so wrong. Because
he's exaggerating.
Yeah, because what happened was, and yeah, these can be shitty people and with the bad, poor decision making, but in the moment, I actually saw what he was trying to do. He was trying to move his foot so that way he was straddling him. And he didn't get his foot over enough. And so he ended up coming down on him. But he was trying to straddle him because he's had, because Sabonis had his arm on his leg. It was not intentional. Look at it again.
But what Wes is saying about the body... So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys actually listened...
Well, no, because all I heard is my brother just cussing a lot and just going on one of his very, high-pitched, very loud rants.
The truth is he hates the Warriors. That's the truth here. He hates the Warriors, and he gets very excited whenever anything bad happens to the Warriors. But he was correct about, Wes, you were absolutely right. He did do the WWE thing on his way out. He should have done it. He needs to be a champion in that moment. He needs to understand that his body of work sucks. And did you guys know who was in the building at that game?
No.
Adam Silver. Do you know who he had the meeting with after the Jordan Poole punch? Adam Silver. Okay, and they announced, hey, this punishment is more of a body of work thing. We're punishing him like this due to this player's history. And yes, Wes, you were absolutely right. The whole that didn't help his case. No. And then zero remorse in the press conference didn't help his case. And Chelsea. So I'm sitting here like, hey, Draymond, I love you. You're being a jackass. Stop it.
No, that's Draymond.
I don't necessarily love love him either, but I'm just saying, like, when we're zooming into like that, like 3 seconds of like what happened, I don't think that was intentional. But I can see how the actions afterwards, like you actually hurt someone and you're taking them out of play for multiple games. That's to not have any remorse about that, like, because I would feel terrible if I did that to someone. I mean, I played water polo. It was a pretty ugly sport, and every time, like afterwards, if they would let me, I would try and like go talk to the person that like I might have injured and say like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. It was
that you were physically abusing."
Well, I was usually more on the receiving end of that kind of stuff, just because I didn't go too dirty. I was dirty, but I was dirty, but I had my nose broken a couple times, so I mean,
water polo is dangerous too. Your ass is gonna wind up drown, and nobody's gonna know why.
Or even see it because there's too much white water on top, and no one needs to go down.
Go ahead, Wes.
I maintain it was intentional, but
that's just dumb. That's a dumb take. I'm sorry. Like, you can be mad about his actions. You can be mad about his personality. You can say like a lot of things, but go watch it again because it's not intentional.
Here's the thing. I'm not a Kings hater. I just don't think the Kings are that good. I think the Kings are having a great season. They're having a historical season. I think they're the best offensive team by advanced metrics in history. All right. So they're having an amazing season. And I do want to say that
my brother's got the broom out. Time to sweep him.
I don't think it's gonna be a sweep either. I think that Golden State wins this next game at Oracle. They're a champion. They just won the championship. The champion's not gonna go out. They're not gonna get swept. I do think it's hilarious.
Make the playoffs.
I do think it's hilarious. Yeah, that's because half the team was still injured with ACLs and Achilles injuries. But I think it's hilarious, right? So as this meeting's going on for the punishment that's going to get dished out to Draymond Green, as the meeting's going on, the Kings release a statement, okay? And the statement is that Domantas Sabonis has a sternum injury and is questionable for the next game, for Game 3. And I'm sitting here like, damn, that couldn't have been better timing. Because there's no way they can let Draymond Green play if Sabonis is out. And sure enough, as soon as that statement comes out, a couple hours later, 1-game suspension. And I'm like, all right, Kings. That was a little sneaky. That was a little well played. What is the word we're looking for? You're thinking a couple moves ahead there, Kings.
3D chess, 4D
chess. Yeah, they're thinking ahead. Couple steps ahead. And when it comes to thinking a couple steps ahead, do you guys think that's what the Eagles are doing when it comes to this contract they just offered Hurts? Because not a lot of teams are able to keep winning when they offer a quarterback this big of a contract.
I mean, it saps their ability to pay for talent in other positions. And that's one of the things that I have like the biggest concern about with these like mega contracts. But I also understand that it's hard to keep a player on, like, on your team, especially like a Jalen Hurts, who would potentially get higher offers elsewhere and have more lucrative deals. So, I mean, it's kind of like this weird balance, but it is yet another year of resetting the negotiations bar because Dak Prescott still needs to get his. And
I was gonna say you're leaving out. I was gonna say you're leaving out a pretty notable one that's not getting his money right now. That plays very similar style to Jalen.
Not deserve any.
Well, I mean, that's an opinion. That is a valid opinion because I thoroughly agree. But the thing is
I agree as well.
Relate to the NFL market and what dumb people are willing to do with their money. Which I mean,
I'm
fools in their money.
Jalen Hurts is getting paid, but I still think the inflation of quarterback salaries is getting ridiculous. And
absolutely.
The most successful season or the most successful team of the last 2 decades, the Patriots.
The Patriots.
I'm never going to say the Patriots name again on this podcast. I hate them.
How many times did they reset the quarterback market with Brady? Never. They paid him like equivalent of like the top like 2 quarterbacks or whatever.
Why do you think he went to Tampa?
Why do you think he stayed with them for so long though? Because they paid him near the top. He was able to live very comfortably, and he kept winning because they were.
He got all those indoor. You think he paid for a meal in Boston?
Oh no!
Do you think he ever paid for a meal in Boston?
But the Patriots were able to afford other talent and build a really good team around him.
Who did the Patriots ever pay?
There's so many
Do they pay?
players.
Well, but
No,
no, who do
in
they
the last-
pay.
Yeah, in the last
They,
3 or
like-
4 years, they never paid anyone. They traded Richard Seymour. They got rid of Gerard Mayo. They got rid of
But the whole
Hightower.
Gronkowski
The whole time that he was with the
Well,
Patriots,
Gronkowski
they
retired.
were always able to
with the
pay.
Patriots.
They
Yeah.
were always able to pay talent.
Oh.
He always had good receivers. He always had a good offensive line. Like
The only person I recall the Patriots paying big money to, yes, you're all right, Chelsea. Gronkowski did get a good contract. I don't think he was the highest paid tight end ever. I'm going to fact check that in a bit. But you know what's funny is the only player that comes to my mind that I recall being like, wow, they paid him good money. Aaron Hernandez. That's the only player I remember Kraft giving out big money to was Aaron. Because I remember when he signed the contract, he did the money in the end zone after he signed his contract and then was abruptly arrested and hung himself in jail. Because he's a murderer. Just so nobody thinks. Watch the documentary. You'll see a whole lot. He's a murderer.
He's a piece of crap.
I just the only team you've seen be successful after paying a quarterback this kind of money is the Chiefs. And I think that's why I said the Chiefs. And I apologize, Wes. I jumped ahead of where I thought you were going. I didn't think you were going to go over the last 2 decades. I thought you were going to say, what's the most successful team that's paid a quarterback this amount of money? That's where I thought you were going. And it's the Chiefs. But that's just because Patrick Mahomes is transcendent.
Where does his salary rank right now?
Patrick's?
Yeah.
Third? Yeah, I mean, I think he's still a $500 million man with incentives. And I mean, in Andy Reid's offense, he's going to hit those incentives, most of those incentives, every year. Plus, that dude's tough as hell. That dude's...
obviously.
But
Like,
he's
this playoff season showed us.
He's the best quarterback right now, and so it's like, I mean, he should be number one. And so
he will be, but...
Well, I know. But
when his contract is up, and then
but it's gonna go even higher, and it's just getting.
I honestly think this is just a game of Jenga. Like you just one up, but then you've kind of like built yourself on like a very shaky foundation. Like you don't have holes in your offense and your defense. Haha, get it? Where I'm going with this extended metaphor? It's all gonna come crashing down at some point if all you're doing is being super top heavy with your quarterback. And I don't agree that this is the right way to go, but this is what the market is doing, and gotta love capitalism, baby. If there's no money left to pay for anyone else,
it's creative bookkeeping, though, Chelsea. It's creative bookkeeping. You know that there's this much guaranteed money, but it's front loaded, so we're not hurting the salary cap in these years, so we can sign a couple players.
No. Their accounting gets real funny.
We did talk to our guest I talked to our guest about that creative bookkeeping on the Eagles and how Howie Roseman has taken over as probably the best GM in the NFL right now. Because the moves he's been able to make and still having top draft picks because of the moves he's made are just phenomenal. So without further ado, let's bring in our guest. All right, so Lucci is back after a long wait. We had to give him the Super Bowl off after post-Super Bowl. You got to let it mellow out for the Eagles fan after. But I did shout out you on the show the following week. I did say he was the only person week 1 that said the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. And so we gave you your flowers there, that you called the Eagles going to the Super Bowl in week 1. And it's funny because I would love to call you a homer, but then they made it. So I don't know what to do in that situation.
Well, let me help you out with calling me a homer. They're going to do it again next year, and next year they're going to win it.
I don't know. Daniel Snyder sold the football team, so maybe the Commanders are a little bit better. I think that trade wreck was really helping the Eagles out in the NFC East, being able to just eliminate one of the teams every year because of their ownership.
But who is he selling the team to?
It looks like Magic Johnson.
The same group that owns the
Sixers
and
76ers.
the Jersey Devils, who cannot win a championship. So I'm not upset about it.
But speaking of that, that's why we brought you in today. I remember when you had to live through the process and you would tweet out things and text out things and Facebook out things like sucking for Wiggins. Wiggins, what did you say? You said Wiggins and somebody. Oh God, I wish I could remember because it was such an inanimate object of a player back then. But for LeBron James, who says no? And I was like, what are you talking about? Who says no? The Cavaliers say no. Why are they going to give you LeBron James? But you wanted.
That's what I was hoping was
Go
going to
ahead.
happen. I was thinking they were going to tank for a while and then try to trade for a high profile superstar, which isn't what happened. They wound up building a team after 5 years of absolute terrible game, and then only one of those players wound up working out. So
yeah, let's go through it. You had what's his face out of the center, Okafor, Jahlil Okafor, Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, and now Joel Embiid. What a cluster!
Markelle Fultz was balling this year, first off, and then also another one that a lot of people forget is Michael Carter Williams, who won the Rookie of the Year with the 76ers, and then we just shipped his ass off.
I never forgot that, and I didn't get it. But then once basketball evolved into the game it is now, I was like, oh, I see. Brett Brown saw the game moving to three-pointers, and Michael Carter Williams couldn't hit a shot to save his life. He was a slash.
Yep. Same reason that Ben Simmons sucks.
And Jahlil Okafor, same thing. Jahlil Okafor, the game evolved so quickly. We didn't need a center sitting inside that couldn't spread the floor. So there goes Jahlil Okafor. Plus, he's driving on the Philly Bridge at 125 miles per hour, which is a recipe to get your ass kicked out of Philadelphia. Especially when the fans know you ain't done shit yet.
Yeah, you got to be a real superstar to get away with some shit like that.
Oh, gosh. Well, Ben Simmons, you brought him up. Well, I brought him up. And we were having a pretty lively debate in another chat that we have before another show about everybody was getting mad at me because they were presuming I was saying the generation is soft. And that's not what I was saying. What I was saying was with Zion Williams and Ben Simmons acting the way they do, they're giving the owners a ton of ammunition to screw over players in the future because they're going to say, why would I guarantee kids that don't know how to be mature and show up for work that much money? Or if they're so mentally fragile, which mental health is a very serious issue. I'm not downplaying it at all. But if you claim it all the time, it now becomes an injury. And if these players are consistently injured, why pay them? What did Ben make from you guys? $90 million, right?
Yeah, a lot of money. I think the problem with those two guys is they're people are seeing them as one and one, right? They're like, oh, look at these two people that are doing this thing. They're having mental health problems, blah, 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 blah. But I don't see the same thing. I think Zion is having a legitimate issue. He's having he hates the situation he's in. He can't get out of it. He feels like he's in quicksand, right? Ben Simmons is a bum. There's a difference. Ben Simmons is
That's the Philly in you. That's the Philly in you coming out.
That's the difference between those two guys. Right now, you take Zion Williamson and you take Ben Simmons, you put them side by side. You put Zion on a different team, I think he ups his morale, and I think he winds up playing because I think he can play. Ben Simmons can go anywhere in the NBA, and he will still be a bum. Period. Dot. Bum.
I'm taking a victory lap right now on Zion Williams because I was having a discussion, and I said, look, I think he's going to be great, but when I look at him in college at Duke, I see Blake Griffin. That's what and everybody was like, oh, shut up, you're being dumb. I was like, guys, Blake Griffin was a #1 overall pick. He dominated the NBA for like 5-10 years. I don't know what the issue is. So I'm looking pretty good. I'm taking victory laps right now because I'm like, I think I was right. I think Zion Williams is Blake Griffin. I don't think he's...
Yeah, for sure. I think he's the most talented person to ever peak in college. For sure.
Blow up a shoe. He blew up a Nike. Teams were tanking for him. The Pelicans had to tank for him because they had traded away Anthony Davis. Now, we talked about how the 76ers were going through the process, and you lived through that. How does it feel after last night and the 76ers just putting it on display to win that playoff game?
I mean, would that be your verification the process worked, right? So I don't know if it necessarily would be. I think when you look at the guys that are on the court right now and you say, are these actual remnants of that entire era? I mean, yeah, obviously Embiid, but everybody else kind of isn't, right? So I think they almost recovered quickly from going through all that tanking. But out of that, what you got is a 2-time scoring leader and should be NBA MVP this year, right? And should have been the NBA MVP last year, but I'm not going to talk about it. But you got.
I mean, we are going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. Let's address this. You have a fundamental issue with Nikola Jokic. Tell me what it is.
I do. I don't like him as a person, first off, and second off,
Okay.
I think Joel Embiid is a better basketball player, and he's a better piece of a team than anybody else. I mean, I think the problem with the MVP is people always associate it with, they'll say like, oh yeah, but would that team be in the playoffs without that guy? Oh yeah, if this guy came off, would they still be in the playoffs? Oh yeah, the Sixers would still be good without Embiid. They'd still make it. So is he really the MVP? And it's like, yeah, he's on a team where your fourth best scoring option is Tobias Harris, who would be a number 2 on the majority of
They
the
wouldn't
NBA
be in the
roster.
playoffs, I don't think, without Joel Embiid, though.
I don't think they would either. But either way, I'm looking at it. You have a team that their fourth best scoring option is Tobias Harris, who would be a number 2 on almost every other team in the NBA. Not almost, the bottom 15 teams in the NBA.
I think he's a 3 on almost every NBA team.
Almost every team.
Because he's getting old.
He's still winning scoring titles. He's still putting up 33 a game. Like his scoring is unmatched, especially at the center position right now in the NBA. It's unreal. And he does it on the rebounds. He does it on defense. If you look at a guy like Jokic, he's not even leading his team in blocks right now. He's the center.
The only reason people love blocks is so when it gets smacked out of the arena, we can all go, oh, that's it. But
then we'll move on to something. I don't even think he's averaging. I have to go back and look at the stats. I think he's just under double digits in rebounds per game too. So he's your big guy in the middle. He's your big guy in the middle, and he's not. If he's not the big guy in the middle, and he's not the best scoring center, stop giving him the MVP. It'll be 3 years in a row, and I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear it anymore.
That I can get behind. That I can absolutely get behind. And the best ability is availability. Joel Embiid hadn't had that the previous 2 years. This year he's been completely healthy. And I think at a minimum, if you really want players to start playing all 82 games, reward it. And that's why I agree with you. I have one more thing to say, but I'm going to let you have the last word on that because it sounded good. And I do agree with that last point with the 3. Now, with Philly doing all this through the draft, you have another team in your city that somehow Roseman is set up for insane success over the last 3 years of the NFL draft. That team is so young and so talented and only really has a couple misses on its resume. How are you feeling going into this year's NFL draft with the number 10 pick?
I'm upset because who I want them to get, which is Robinson out of Texas, they're not going to get, right? So I want them to pick him up with the 10th pick overall, but I don't think that's going to happen because traditionally the Eagles are offensive, defensive line in the first round, especially in the top 10. Especially in the top 10, they're going offensive and defensive lines.
Miles Sanders didn't help you there because they picked him up in the late rounds, and that dude is a stud. Yeah. So he's not helping that argument. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying they typically go offense or defense.
I mean, now that Miles Sanders is no longer an Eagle, Miles Sanders is also a bum. He had one good year, dog. One good year, and it was his contract year. He got paid, right? But he's not going to. I'm glad we didn't pick him back up for $9 million or whatever the hell he was looking for. You can't win a championship like that. So, he's okay.
You're a Boston Scott guy. Boston Scott.
No, this is why I want Robinson out of Texas. I think he's he's the best player coming out of that draft, to be honest with you. I think he's the best overall football player coming out of that draft. Now, there's guys that are more important, obviously, but I think Robinson's a stud, man. I think he's probably the best running back to come out since Saquon, and I think he might be a little bit better than Saquon.
I don't think he's better than Saquon. He can't catch the ball like Saquon can.
Yeah, Saquon can't stay on the field, so whatever. So I'm
you said the best availability was our best ability was availability, so there.
Yeah, say it again out loud. Anyway, I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of it matters of what happens with at the 7th and 8th pick, right? Because there's 2 guys that I think that they're going to wind up with. They're not even really like hard pressing them, but I think they're going to wind up with either Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech or the kid from Georgia, Nolan Smith. They're both edge rushers, but I think that matters with what Vegas does at 7, which I'm anticipating them screwing that pick up because I think another one of the underselling guys who it's ridiculous to say that because he's going to go in the top 10 is the cornerback out of Oregon, the Christian Gonzalez.
Christian Gonzalez is dope.
I think he's probably who the Raiders should pick up, but because I think that they probably won't, which means he'll sit there.
I like your boy better. Is that weird? I like your Penn State boy better at cornerback. I like Joey Porter Jr. I think Joey Porter Jr. is he's 6'2", almost 6'3". He's long, he's fast. Like, I like that in the NFL today.
I think that he's a monster too. I don't think he's as good as Christian Gonzalez though. But I mean,
I think Christian Gonzalez is going to be overrated because the Pac-12 likes to do the run and gun offense. So you got receivers all over the air raids all over the place, and that makes certain cornerbacks play above their level. Like, who was the last really great cornerback you can name that came out of the Pac-12? Brandon Browner out of Oregon State, like maybe. And it even took him a couple years to acclimate because of his motorcycle accident. So I think it's almost like I've been talking so much smack about C.J. Stroud on the show because I think C.J. Stroud is not going to be good in the NFL. And I hate that because I've listened to a couple interviews and I'm like, I feel like shit because this dude actually appears to be a really good dude. But I don't see Ohio State quarterback being successful.
he also has absolutely no fucking chance, right? So he has zero chance to do well because he's going to get picked up by the Texans and he's going to go there to die. That's what's going to happen.
you got Bryce Young going number 1 then?
Yeah, Bryce Young going number 1 for sure. For sure.
Okay.
Which I'm actually happy about because the Carolina's got 2 top 10 picks or 2 picks before the Eagles, right? 1 through 9.
Mm-hmm.
And since they're going to take Bryce Young, I think they're going to draft a tackle with that second pick, which basically we're not taking an offensive lineman in that first round. So, or we might take him at 31, but they're not going to take a tackle at 10. So that takes.
We got Lane, you got Jason.
That I don't care about. It takes two players off the boards that I don't care about. So really, it's not like we have 10; it's like we have 8. And then you start moving up to the guys that I don't care about going, and then we have a pretty good chance. I think they should draft Robinson. I don't think that they're going to do it. I think they're going to end up with either the kid from Alabama or the kid from
the inside linebacker, or the edge rusher from Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia. Yeah. That's what I think is going to wind up happening. I don't think I don't think they'll take a tackle that early. Although we're sitting on the edge of Lane Johnson's probably going to be gone in a couple of years. We don't really have a second guard. We have Landon Dickerson on the one side, and then they're going to wind up playing.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted a backup center, Cam Jurgens, last year, but then Kelsey came back, so Kelsey's going to anchor the center of the line. They're going to move Cam Jurgens out to guard for the next year just so we can get some reps in. And then we don't really have anybody else playing guard. So it wouldn't surprise me if deeper in the first round with that second pick, they take an offensive lineman that's like one of those utility guys, maybe somebody that's like 6'4", 320 that can move in between, right?
They could pull. He plays both positions. He plays right guard, left guard, maybe right tackle when Lane Johnson goes down inevitably at some point during the season. And I'm not insulting him. He's one of the toughest dudes on earth, and that's why he's always injured. That's the reason he's always hurt.
Yeah, him going down last year was a problem for us at the end of the stretch. But I digress. I think that they're going to take an offensive lineman with that second pick in the first round. I think they take a defensive lineman, an edge rusher with that first pick, knowing that Brandon Graham's on his way out. He's got that big contract for a year, and then he's gone. And then I don't know what happens, but I hope for my sake they draft Robinson.
What if that tight end out of Notre Dame falls into your lap? Or is it Notre Dame? Yeah.
Well, we have Dallas Goedert, right? So we did well with the 2 tight end system for a little while. But I mean, how many people are going to keep on the field at the same time? They're not going to line up 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, 1 running back every play. So I don't know if I don't think early on in the draft it's wise to go after. I never think it's wise. That's why I'm such a hypocrite on myself this year. I never think it's wise to go after position players or those specialists early in the draft. I think it's a waste of a pick almost every single time. Almost every time it's a waste of a pick, and we always mess it up. So I hate when they do that. But I would really enjoy if they went after Robinson this year, even if there's somebody falls right into the lap. You got to go after Robinson. I mean,
a lot of the mock drafts have him falling.
Well, I think he's going to fall deep. I think he's probably going to go in I don't know what your considered deep is, but I think he's probably going to go in the 20s, which is out of our reach.
So the one thing I want to ask you is
my last thing. How about not the Raiders, the Chargers, right? So the Chargers scooping him at 21 because Austin Eckler's trying to get out of there. That's something to watch. That's who I think is going to
watch. Yeah, Chargers could absolutely. Then they've done that their whole term, right? You go from Natron Means to LaDainian Tomlinson to Melvin Gordon to Eckler, then you go to Robinson. So absolutely. I've got to let you go this week because we're out of time, and I need to bring you back in at some point during this playoff series because I really want to talk the New York-Philadelphia rivalry. Is that all right with you if we can get you back in maybe next week?
Let's do it.
All right, you got it. I appreciate you, Lucci. I like what you said. I'm also pulling for Embiid to win the MVP, and we'll see how that goes when we get you back.
All right, brother.
All right, so shifting back to basketball as we get close to the end of the show. We've only got about 5 minutes left of this show. As you heard there, Lucci's just tired of Joel Embiid not getting the MVP and Nikola Jokic being looked at as this phenomenal basketball player, and he doesn't think he's worth it. And I'd love your guys' thoughts on that kind of minor rivalry that we have going on between those two big men, between Nikola Jokic, between Joel Embiid, and do we actually want to see somebody win an MVP trophy 3 times in a row?
No, you don't, because it's a lack of recognition to all the other players that have been surrounding that person. And I don't know, I just get really, really tired of, when you give the MVP trophy to the same person, it seems like that person, you're saying that person is carrying a team, is carrying their successes. And that's not necessarily true. It just means that you aren't looking across.
Do you think Do you think we don't appreciate consistent greatness, Chelsea? Do you think we get
Absolutely.
bored with consistent greatness?
Yes. Yes, we totally do. Just like it's so we were talking about the Patriots earlier. Like was so easy to hate on them because every year they were winning. And you just get tired of it. You're like, this is not new. It's only fun if you're in Boston. It's not fun for everyone else.
Exactly.
Everyone else is like, what? I wanted to go to the party too.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? So, and I mean, the Blazers are always a bridesmaid, never a bride. When it comes to the NBA.
We're always like 7th seed, and I got.
Yeah.
And Damian Lillard never gets credit like that, and he's one of the
Yes.
best point guards to ever play in the NBA,
I mean-
and he gets no credit.
For real, like it's usually just the best player on the best team, just like it is with the Heisman Trophy. It's always the best player on the best team.
Do you get bored with greatness, Wes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always nice to look back on, but yeah, I definitely get bored of it. I mean, I'm tired.
It's
of
weird.
The Warriors. I was tired of the Patriots after like 2 years.
Had to throw the Warriors in there one more time. Get one more shot in.
Yeah.
On the other end of that spectrum of us getting bored with greatness, I think we really root for the underdog. And
Absolutely.
that can't be that can't be seen more than in a little place I like to call Madison Square Garden, where Knicks fans go absolutely crazy for their hard knock life Knicks, who haven't won a playoff game up until a couple years ago in Atlanta. For, I think, 2 decades, they hadn't won a playoff game, somewhere in that realm. Okay? They beat Atlanta one game, go ape shit. Go absolutely nuts. The whole city's going crazy, okay? Then they lose 3 straight. Or 4 straight, pardon me. And they lose that series. And now, I have a lot of friends on Twitter that are Knicks fans. I have a lot of friends on the other entities that are Knicks fans. And one immediately posts gifs of dancing in the street in New York because he's from New York. And he's posting Knicks fans, we're here, we're it, I am him. Kind of like Austin Reeves for the Lakers. And then they come out and lay a stinker last night. Okay? And I immediately go, yo, do you guys have to torture yourselves every year? Did you forget what just happened a couple years ago when you celebrated a win like this? And all he tweeted me back was, we have short-term memories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. You gotta have short-term memories in sports.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the city that never sleeps, so there's no writing to the long-term storage hard drive in your brain there. So I mean, I get it. New Yorkers go hard for their sports because
Rangers too.
it's the one thing that really brings people of all social classes, of all beliefs, everything like that. You can meet someone from the other side of the world who just moved to New York and they're like, hey, I'm a Knicks fan, or like I'm a Yankees fan, and then you can argue with people whether you're a Knicks fan or you're a Nets fan, or are you a Yankees fan or a Mets fan? Like, you want to go
Rangers or Islanders? Or
That was
Devils?
very
Exactly.
Coming to America-esque by you, Chelsea. Very coming to. You can buy a Knicks hat, and now
The
you're a Knicks
American
fan.
dream. You can be a
But
Knicks fan,
it's
or you
true.
can be a
It
Mets
is
fan
so
or a Yankees
true.
fan.
I've met people like who have just moved and are just like, you know what? I'm all in. I'm buying. I'm gonna support this team, and I'm just gonna be totally into it.
It's the American
It's
dream.
it's a very interesting city because it is generally not the focus of the day-to-day life. Like, you aren't going to
Mhm.
see MSG during the season like packed to the gills. You aren't going to see Yankee Stadium packed to the gills during every game during the very long season. But when you do go, it's always fun. But if they get to the playoffs, everybody's talking about it in every office building. I mean, it's work from home.
That's because the Nets don't exist there.
They do, though. They do. There's a little bit like the Nets, because of the Jay-Z ownership and partnership and all of that, they have like a little bit of like street cred if you're in Brooklyn. What I love it.
What happens once you leave Brooklyn? They're gone.
Nothing.
They fade to
So,
they fade to black.
But
Is the
Brooklyn
Jersey-
has
is
more
the
population than Chicago, so like let's be honest,
is the arena
it's still
physically in the Brooklyn?
oh yeah,
Barclays
it's
is
right
in
downtown.
Brooklyn.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, Barclays-
right in the center of Brooklyn.
And it's supposedly one of the better arenas in the NBA.
It's top notch. I love
Yeah.
love going to events like concerts and
That's-
stuff like that there. I'll probably be there a lot in the next couple months.
Nice.
Wes, I'm going to give you the final word because you wanted to throw in some obscure sports today. So
Yeah.
before we get out of here, you get your plug.
We're getting our little dose of the Ocho. Yesterday, the Vanderbilt women's bowling team won the NCAA national championship. So that's a little trivia for you. In 10
Flowers.
years, yeah. Congratulations
flowers,
to the
girls.
Vanderbilt women's team. I actually watched some of the highlights. Those girls
Yeah.
are freaking good,
Nice.
and they have like a really smooth like bowling, whatever you call it.
No
Bro.
granny balls, no gutter guards.
Like it's just the movement. Like one of them had this like really nice like swing, and you couldn't even hear the ball.
I don't know if it's called a swing.
Yeah, I don't know what you call
a
it.
throw.
Throw.
Yeah, it's a throw.
You couldn't even
Yeah.
hear
Or
the
roll.
ball hit the floor just because like it had such a smooth transition. It was like silent when she threw it. It was just.
Yeah,
it was-
in college, one of my favorite things was to watch when because ESPN very late in the night would always show the PBA championships, so like the Professional Bowling Association, and I just loved having that on in the background because it would go so quiet, and then it was like, shoo, and you just kept like every time I looked up, I just saw like amazingness because I was joking about the gutter guards and the granny bowling because that's basically me.
Yeah.
I'm not great
Me
at the
too, I suck.
bowling. I think I've hit like 2 strikes in my life.
Yeah, it's funny though because like when they get a strike, even though like they get lots of strikes, since it's like a team, like those girls were like, yeah, like double high fives all around. It was great.
It got you into it. It got you into it. And I love that energy, Wes. I need you to keep this level of energy throughout the show. You cannot check out just because you don't like the teams we're talking about anymore. You have to stay in
Too
it.
bad.
Even if it's with anger. Maybe not so many F words. But even
Even if it's
even-
for the Warriors.
and you can reach this level of excitement and see all of Wes's broom tactics on the Sad Fan Podcast Network on YouTube, and you can reach us all at the Sad Fan Cast on Twitter. Thanks for showing up every week. We really appreciate all of you.